Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm Alan and this is the Coffeevaners, and this is a video that I've been planning on making probably now for about 6 to 8 months, and we've been asked loads of questions about leisure batteries and how we chose the battery that we have on our caravan. Now, there's loads of videos out there looking at the technicalities of batteries, amps, usage, power, but what I want to do in this video is break it down into simple terms how we actually chose our battery. And the first thing really was that there are always going to be some limitations as to what you can put in your caravan. So how big is the hole, the battery box, where it's going to go? You know, some of these batteries that might be 500 amp hours are the size of, you know, a small car engine, or you see motorcycle batteries that are tiny. But what we wanted to do was to maximise the battery within the space we've got for the uses we have. Another limitation is price. You know, you've got the very cheap lead acid batteries, £50–60, all the way up to top of the range lithium batteries, £1,000-ish or thereabouts. A lot of money. And then we've got the caravan itself. Now, from what I've been able to find out is that a caravan charger, the charger that's on the back of the consumer unit that's going to keep it topped up, is not always going to be able to handle a lithium battery. So we decided to look at either lead acid or AGM, and because of the fact that lead acid batteries, the cheaper range of batteries, tend not to have the number of cycles to which they can be charged, we opted for spending a little bit more to get more cycles for a battery that would last a little bit longer. And to do that, we went to, and I'm going to grab my notes here, we went to the NMC verified battery scheme. So I'll put the link in the notes below so you can have a link to that site, but it basically classifies battery into three classes, A, B and C, and that depends on the use you're going to have of a battery. So if you've got a tiny 2-berth caravan, you're always going to go to site, you're always going to be on hookup, you may only ever use the battery really to run the lights when you get to site, maybe if it's a little bit dark, or be there as an emergency if the site supply goes off. There is absolutely no point in spending a massive amount on a great big 150 amp hour battery that will do much more than what you actually need it to do. So we actually started looking, what do we want from our caravan? We've got a fairly reasonable size caravan. We are going to be off grid, so we want it to last maybe up to 3 or 4 days. We have a motor mover fitted, so we need something that's got the big enough guts in it to actually power that motor mover, and we want something that we can charge over and over again, knowing the limitations of the battery itself. So for instance, when you with the AGM battery that we've got, you can only discharge it to sort of 50% before lights start going dim and the thing doesn't start operating as it should operate. So they were the main things that we wanted to sort of take into consideration. So if you've got a caravan, let's say a twin axle Buccaneer, and you've got quad movers on it and you're going to go off grid, you want something really big and beefy to move the caravan around and to supply you with power for the number of lights and outlets that you've got within the caravan. We chose not to have an inverter fitted to the caravan, and there's a few reasons for that. Some of it was to do with warranty, and we couldn't get fixed and firm advice as to whether doing that would invalidate any part of it. Simple things like screwing the inverter to the floor. Would that invalidate the warranty if the floor decided to delaminate after we'd done it? And there was also the fact, well, if you have an inverter fitted, how do you then get the power from the inverter to the sockets? Because we do go on grid as well as off grid, so we didn't want to have trailing leads within the caravan to run an extension from the inverter, let's say, to a hairdryer or a toaster or a coffee maker. We've actually decided that for us the best way is to use gas. So we've got the Kadak, which we intend to use, even though a lot of people are swapping over now to Tapping-Yakis. We intend to do more on gas than we do on electricity, and rely on the caravan power to do that. The other thing is site fees. If you're always looking for sites with hookups, you're paying considerably more because of the cost to the site for the electricity and for the maintenance of the electrical supply on the site. Whereas if we've literally got a grass pitch in a field and we put the solar panel out and we run all our own stuff, then we don't have to worry about paying the extortionate, in some cases, fees that caravan sites once. We've been away for as little as £9 a night, and we have seen sites that are cheaper than that, which are absolutely fine for us. It's only our really big holidays where we will go and get hook up on site, unless we can get a really good deal. So that kind of give us the idea of what battery we wanted. So we're looking at the NCC approved scheme, and we're looking at the batteries that were Class A, because we wanted something that would operate the mover and that would give us plenty of power within the caravan. We also wanted something that would have plenty of life cycles, so it'd last a decent length of time, and we wanted something where we weren't paying over the top. So we opted for an AGM battery at 100 amp hour that fit literally within millimeters of the size of the battery box. And that's how we came to our conclusion. The battery that we had in the Bailey beforehand was a lead acid battery that was just an 80 amp hour. Now it was a very lightweight van. It did have a motor mover on it, but it wasn't really geared for going off grid. It was literally take it to a site, use the motor mover to put it on the pitch, and then plug into the mains electricity. So there were the three things: what you wanted to use it for, how much you wanted to spend, and what the limitations were. And we came to this conclusion, and that's the battery that we bought. Now, one thing that we were keen not to do was to go to a caravan accessory shop and say we need a leisure battery, because we're fairly sure that what they'd have done is taken to the biggest on the pile, the most expensive on the pile, that would fit in the caravan, and say, there you are, you take that. We didn't want to do that. What we wanted to do was to get something that fit our needs, which is probably the reason why caravan dealers don't automatically put a leisure battery in, because it's like, you go into a car showroom and saying, I want this type of car, and he's going to say, do you want manual or automatic, petrol, diesel, electric, do you want it in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive? And batteries are pretty much the same. You can go to the nth degree, and there's scientists on YouTube that will give you the ins and outs of how quick a battery will discharge based on the profiles of this, that and the other. Whilst that's interesting to know, it's predominantly not something that we looked at when we went to buy a battery. We had a budget. We didn't want to spend more than £150. We wanted it to last a decent length of time. We wanted it to fit in the caravan and do the job we wanted it to do, and that's basically how we chose our leisure battery. So that's it. That's our choice of battery. Just out of interest, what do you think of the lighting? Got some of them LED things that change colour, and they're not fixed and permanent. Ali hasn't agreed to it yet, and of course we're still within our first year's warranty, so Ali won't let me plug into the electrics yet. I've got to run it on USB and stick it in a USB thing in the corner. But there we are. That's us. That's Leisure Batteries. That's how we chose it. Hope you like the video. If you do like the channel, give us a thumbs up. That really does help us along the way, and a subscription will be great. So till next time, you take care, you stay safe, and we'll see you later. Ta-da.